afternoon. My name is Andy Tran, and I'm a quality engineer here at SpaceX. Welcome, everyone, to our live on-orbit conversation with the Inspiration 4 crew. On Wednesday, September 15th at 5:02 p.m. Pacific time, the Inspiration 4 crew, the world's first all-civilian human spaceflight to orbit, lifted off aboard SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon spacecraft from historic Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And it has been an incredible mission so far. Inspiration 4 is commanded by Jared Isaacman, sitting in the third seat from the left-hand side. He is the founder and CEO of Shift4 Payments and an accomplished pilot and adventurer. Joining him from left to right on screen are mission specialist Chris Simbrowski, an Air Force veteran aerospace data engineer, mission pilot Dr. Cyan Proctor, a geoscientist, entrepreneur, and trained pilot, and on the far right-hand side, Medical Officer Haley Arsenault, a physician assistant at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and pediatric cancer survivor. After Falcon 9 separated from Dragon, Dragon completed 2 uphill phasing burns to reach its intended target orbit with altitudes as high as 590 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The Inspiration 4 astronauts then doffed or took off their spacesuits, completed on-orbit cabin configuration operations, and conducted their first round of scientific research. Before catching a few hours of sleep, they enjoyed their first meals together, one of which was pizza, which was a very surreal moment for them because we heard the crew saying, and I quote, "I can't believe we're eating cold pizza in space. It's extraordinary." Yesterday, the Inspiration 4 crew opened the forward hatch to get their first look out of Dragon's cupola, the largest window to ever fly in space. They made a few phone calls and also recorded an event with patients of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which was incredible. And thank you so much to the kids who joined us for that. And in case you missed it during the live launch webcast shortly after reaching orbit, Inspiration 4 crew revealed their zero-G indicator at the center of your screen, a space dog plush. It was inspired by St. Jude Children's Research Hospital specially trained facility dogs that were on sale, but they sold out within the hour. The crew has now been in orbit for about 2 days and are getting ready to give a live update of their time in Dragon so far. Now, communicating with a spacecraft that is moving 17,500 miles an hour can be pretty tricky. If you've watched previous crew missions, you know that we can only talk to the crew when they're flying over a designated ground station. The amount of time that we have connectivity with the crew varies depending on the location of the ground station and the position of the spacecraft on orbit. For this particular opportunity, we expect to have the crew for about 10 minutes of connectivity to talk to Inspiration 4. If for some reason we aren't able to connect with the crew on this pass, we do have another opportunity in about 30 minutes to try again. Now, we are expecting the crew to join us in just a few moments, so stay with us. And the next voices you should hear should be that of Jared Isaacman and the Inspiration 4 crew.
And copy that, SpaceX. Welcome everybody to Crew Dragon Resilience. We're
We're cruising right now at 580 kilometers above the Earth, going about 7.6 kilometers per second. So we're really booking. We're seeing the world every 90 minutes. That's how fast we're traveling around it. It's pretty incredible. So we're excited you're here to join us today. We're going to introduce the crew of Inspiration 4, and then we're going to show you around some of the cool aspects about this spacecraft we're on right now. So pass. Hey everyone, I'm Chris Dombrowski. I'm the mission specialist here, and we've been doing a lot of great things here, like looking out the window at Earth, just like we're going to show you through the cupola in a moment. And I hope we get to share other cool things like some of the medical experiments and some of the more human side of things that we've brought up here to space with us today. So pass it on over.
Everyone, I'm Cyan Proctor, and I am the mission pilot, and I hope to show you some of the art that I've been doing in a little bit.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us here on Crew Dragon. My name is Haley Arsenault. I'm the medical officer of the mission, and excited to show you about the research that we've been doing, as well as how much fun it is to be in microgravity.
All right, so with that, what we'd like to start off, because we think the views will be pretty incredible, is we want to take you up into the cupola so you can see the largest continuous window ever flown in space and the views that it affords. While we're getting our forward hatch open right here for this big reveal, we just want to thank everyone back at home who's been contributing to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital as part of this YouTube channel right now. So a big part of our mission here at Inspiration 4 is to inspire what can be done here in space, because there's an awful lot of it, and we got to get out and explore it, but also what our responsibilities that we need to take care of back on Earth. And top on our list right now is conquering childhood cancer. That's why we're supporting St. Jude.
Everyone, unfortunately, we've just gone into darkness, but you can see right above us over there. Hopefully you're getting a good view of that. Night lights. So every time we go into darkness, we get this amazing view. Oh, that looks like the aurora. Oh, wow. We have an aurora event. It looks like off to our right. I hope you guys can see that. We are currently over Europe.
And we have been spending so much time in this cupola.
Hi, everybody. Kylie? Oh,
hey, how's it going?
hi. Thanks so much. We've opened the room for about 15 minutes and we're still waiting for people to come in. Hi, Rahma. Hi, Tanya. Nice to meet you. And joining us as well, my good friends, Ratri and Davida. Let me just, where are you? Tanya, I will make the host. Where's Rahma? Okay, how you all doing this weekend? Saturday night. Thank you so much for spending time, allocating time for this presentation. It's World Space Week, as we all know it. I don't know if you've been celebrating, and it's Women in Space. It's the last day, and so very, very happy to feature Stanford Student Space Initiative. A lot of students from the region, and also actually people streaming from the US as well are interested to learn about the Space Club, what the projects, and you can, as we have outlined before, Kylie will be talking about Mars and policy. Rahma, you will be sharing about space shot and rockets. And Tanya will be speaking about balloons and satellites. So there you go. The virtual floor is yours. Kylie, you can take over first.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I want to start with a quick video. Call our hype video.
This is Apollo Control at 102 hours into the flight of Apollo 11. It's grown quite quiet here in Mission Control. A few moments ago, Flight Director Gene Kranz requested that everyone sit down, get prepared for events that are coming. And he closed with the remark, "Good luck to all of you." Minutes now until ignition for powered descent. Everything's still looking very good at this point. Okay, all flight controllers, go for powered descent. Retro, go. Fido, go. Guidance, go. Control, go. Telcom, go. Jinsei, go. Ecom, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for powered descent. We're off to a good start. Play it cool.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming. My name is Kylie Holland and I'm one of the Mars team leads for the Stanford Student Space Initiative. The Stanford Student Space Initiative, or SSI as we call it, is Stanford's largest undergraduate club and largest student-run research group. We give future leaders of the space industry the skills, experience, and insight they need to realize humanity's future in space. Today, we're excited to talk to you about the incredible research our members are doing on rockets, satellites, Martian habitation, and much more. SSI was created to give Stanford students the skills and experience they need to enter the space industry. We're very proud to be a no application, no experience necessary group. In SSI, students go from never having touched a power tool to building a rocket by the end of their first quarter at university.
So, hi everyone, my name is Tania, and through how we strive to carry out this mission that Kylie talked about, we have gotten some recognition from some people in the aerospace industry regarding that work that we've done and continue to do. And so here are some quotes that we just put up here to reflect that. So the first one is, potentially the most impressive thing was all those young undergrads working on some pretty incredible projects, from a person who is a SpaceX propulsion manager, and then from Elon Musk. Seems pretty cool.
Hi everyone, my name is Rahma. I am leader of Olympus, which is one of the rockets teams. As Tania was mentioning, or Kylie were mentioning, we are entirely student-led and run, and we have advisors, and we receive funding from the university, but all of the projects you'll see today were created and designed and built by students and mainly undergrads. We have 212 active members as of last spring. And on the next slide, we will just be giving you an overview about the notable projects, starting with satellites from Tania.
So, hi, I'm Tania, and satellites is one of the teams that I've been working on since I first joined SSI. And just a little bit about me. I am a material science and engineering major, class of 2023, and of course, been on SATs for a while. And I'm just going to point out some of the projects that we've done in the past and some that we are currently working on and developing. Next slide. So one of the projects that happened before I was on SATs was Pointer, or Polar Orbiting Infrared Tracking Receiver, which was a small 1U CubeSat that acquired and tracked beacon lasers from the ground. And we were able to try and test those systems, and it was actually launched in 2018. And this built on previous work demonstrating bidirectional optical communications from larger distances of 10 kilometers. And all this work led to more ambitious projects like our current project, Project Sequoia. So this is the project that I'm working on right now, and super excited to be working on this. I'll talk about a little bit more of the development in the next few slides, but it's a 3U CubeSat, and 3U CubeSat just means it is 3 1Us stacked on top of each other. So one unit is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters cube. So just that's for relative size. And then it's mainly for climatology research, especially in the California region. And there's some intermediate SATs that are going to be launching very, very soon. And I'm very excited about that. And that leads me to the next slide, which is Project Seedling. So Seedling is one of the intermediate SATs of Sequoia. Sequoia named after the tree. And Seedling is a 1U CubeSat that is going to test some of our critical systems, such as power and the ability to take images from space. And Seedling will hopefully be launching later this year or maybe early next year. And so we're really grinding, working on this project to get it up into space. The next sapling would be our next intermediate scale up. And there's a quick video animation of the frame that I made. And if it'll play, and yeah, so we're going to be testing more systems on that, including more power, more maybe machine learning models and stuff like that. And so this is just an exploded view of the frame from Fusion 360, or the software that we use to visualize our satellites in 3 dimensions. The next is our big project, Sequoia. And of course, this is what the climatology research will be coming on, learning about weather patterns in California region and tracking stuff like wildfires and natural disasters and leading to those machine learning models. So the teams that we have on satellites include a variety of teams. There's electrical engineering, which we call avionics. The team just calls it electrical engineering, but for space. And then computer science, software, mechanical engineering, more structures, and then guidance, navigation, and control to see where our satellite is with respect to the Earth at all times.
All right. Hi again. My name is Rahma. I am a junior, class of 2023. I'm studying mechanical engineering, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about rockets. So rockets is the biggest of SSI's 7 teams, and it works on a variety of projects that kind of change every year based on how things go. And in the next slide, we're going to be talking about Olympus, which is one of the main and oldest rockets projects ever. And it's not only one of the biggest scale projects of SSI, it's also the only SSI rocket that will be operating on liquid propulsion, which is just a type of an engine that we will be making, or we are making currently, instead of just buying motors off the internet. It's going to be entirely student designed and built. The work on that project started in 2018 with knowledge transferred from one generation to the next. We've been working on this system to apply better design changes, and in the most recent update, we were able to entirely manufacture the lower section of the engine in-house, which was pretty cool for as a first accomplishment of its kind in SSI. And also the team has also developed a liquid and hybrid engine simulation software that is open for the public. Anyone can use. And we've been recently upgrading it to include a graphic user interface to make it more accessible and more, more usable for people. On the next slide, we have, sorry, the previous slides, we have a hot fire test. This is basically how you test the engine to make sure like all the components work and everything with the measurements you are expecting out of the engine to work. This was happening on campus by students. This project is part of a competition that's called Spaceport America. And it's a worldwide competition where all rocketry teams from a lot of universities all over the world competes on rocketry technology that they've been building. SSI was able to win first and second place for the 30,000 feet category in 2017 and 2018 respectively. And I'll hand it over to Kylie.
Thank you, Rahma. It's Kylie again. I'm Mars team co-lead. I'm a senior studying symbolic systems with a focus on human-computer interaction. The Mars team wants to see humans explore and settle on the red planet. To that end, we conduct research on how to harness Mars's own resources for construction, fuel production, and more. We have 3 teams: Mars Bricks, Tractor, and Simulation. Mars Bricks is investigating a new construction material made out of Martian dirt and building an autonomous brick-making machine. Last year, the Mars Bricks team won the opportunity to launch an experiment to the International Space Station as part of a NASA program. So we'll be testing how that Martian regolith-based construction material comes together in reduced gravity early next year. Mars Tractor is building a rover to explore and mine the Martian surface, as well as build walls or basic buildings for future astronauts. This team is combining creative mechanical engineering with computer vision and robot autonomy to create a fully independent rover. The Martian simulation team is building a tool to simulate missions to Mars. This flexible program will allow mission planners to test different options for, say, energy production or habitation types. For our initial prototype, we're creating a system capable of simulating SpaceX's proposed Martian mission infrastructure.
Hi, back. Now I'm going to be talking about the balloons team. I'm not personally on this team, but I believe they're doing super cool things. And before I knew SSI existed or anything, I didn't even know these type of balloons existed. And I think they're doing really cool work. So what are these balloons? These balloons, if you go to the next slide, these balloons are not the ones you go to the store and like buy and fill up with helium. These are huge party for space balloons that go like to the edge of space, and they're huge latex based balloons as far as material type is concerned, and you can launch really cool payloads on these to get good weather data. So where can these balloons go? If you look at this map, these are some of the areas that these balloons have been launched and tracked to all across the United States and beyond. And so with the little markers, you can see they've gone up all the way north and then like south, east and west. You can look at that map and see just the range that these balloons have gone away from where we are here in California. Next slide. Or preview, yeah. And then some of the projects that the balloons team has been working on is this like valve ball system, which was for controlling the high altitude balloons. You can see some pictures of that. And it achieves multi-day flight using low-cost latex balloons, as you see like the people standing there next to that just for scale. And it just has unique altitude profile capabilities. And this system in itself set the record for latex balloon endurance, multiple times, and included significant payload capability and capacity. And now some SSI members took this technology design and even founded a startup called Windborne Systems. and it focuses on collecting high quality weather data at different altitudes in the Earth's atmosphere. And Winborn has, at least in the last check-in, has raised $40 million in funding. So this is just an example of like startups and businesses that have spun out of this club, SSI, an organization.
Okay, it's me again. I'm going to be talking about Space Shot. Space Shot is a partnership between rockets and balloons. We're contributing with this rocket in the college space race to reach space with the first student-built and designed system. Space Shot is trying to pursue a system that's based on a finless rocket, so it doesn't have any fins, and it's instead stabilized by spinning. It will be launched from a balloon at 27 kilometers above the ground. And it's very unique because it's really a new approach as opposed to the general approach where rockets like stack very big motors on top of each other to get to space. And on the next slide is just like a little bit of information about like this type of systems. And when we hopefully succeed in accomplishing this challenge, we will have produced the first completely open source way to get to space. The knowledge we are acquiring throughout this process will be available for anyone. And it will also be a technical demonstration that spin stabilized rockets can and do work. Also, the set of expertise brought to the Space Shot team are very unique. We have a balloons team that Tania talked about that broke the world record for balloon flight for 3 times, and the rockets team that won world rocketry competitions. And putting those together, you can imagine all the amazing possibilities that can come out of this. Also, in consideration of ITAR restrictions, developing Space Shot and using an open source technology where we'll kind of relieve these restrictions from our project, and it allows us to work with anyone and allows anyone to work with us. Yeah.
Fantastic. The SSI biology team has taken on projects as diverse as COVID relief and space food, but the most exciting research was on a DNA synthesizer for space use. This project was conceived as a 3D printer for genetic material, designed to allow DNA synthesis in microgravity environments. As much of the process as possible was handled autonomously so as to reduce the labor load on astronauts and to avoid human error. Last but certainly not least, the policy team is responsible for SSI's podcasts, hosts discussions on space for members of the community, and contributes a student voice to space policy debates. For the past few years, SSI has written proposals for the UN on space policy. Prior to COVID, we traveled to Vienna to present to the legal subcommittee of COPUS, which is the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. Unfortunately, couldn't travel this year, but we're still publishing on the topic of sustainable development goals and the protection of space heritage. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you for presenting. It was great to see what Stanford students accomplished this time, and the fact it's ITAR. You can get around the ITAR regulations. For those of you who doesn't know what ITAR means, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's basically only allows US citizen or green card to work on the projects. So having these Stanford students able to go around it, it makes it more global and makes everyone, including us in Indonesia, if you're interested in the program, then you can join and work on the project. So if you have any questions, I'm gonna open the floor for a question, raise your hands, or you can type it on the chat. If you do, when we can bring it up here for them to answer. I do have a questions to start off. Do you always have interest in space, and how do you how do you start having that interest in space and keep it going until you are in college and search for clubs that is very specific to space?
Yeah, it's a really great question. Honestly, for a lot of us, we didn't develop an interest in space until college. I know I was very focused on other things, national security, cybersecurity, until I joined SSI. And then it really opened my eyes to the possibilities of space and exciting research going on in the space industry.
What about you, Rama or Tania?
I can jump in. I think I kind of had just always a fascination with like looking up and seeing what was in the beyond. I remember being little and being bought like a really cheap toy telescope to play with. And so it was just something that I was always drawn to, but didn't really know of all opportunities, of course, until I, got to college and I started asking around like, oh, where's the space club? Like, how can I get involved in these things? So definitely like reaching out to people, messaging them, just trying to see like what I can get involved in, what I can get like hands on in. Like, I'm really appreciate when people like message me and asking these same things that like I asked before just to get involved with the thing. So definitely like reaching out to people.
Well, why don't if you don't mind, then maybe you can type your email address there, and for people who's too shy to ask questions publicly, then maybe they can ask the questions privately.
Of course. I'll drop in the chat now.
What about you, Rama?
The way I got interested in space was pretty random. I just randomly went on Wikipedia and read about Elon Musk, and I found SpaceX, and I was like, this is a cool engineering thing to do. I was always interested in engineering, but didn't really know what to do with it. And then I felt like aerospace was more of an altogether type of engineering, and you get to work on so many different systems, and it's really exciting. And going into Stanford, I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I became more fascinated about rockets and space systems in general. So when I found the chance to kind of contribute to that community of and this type of engineering through SSI, it was an amazing opportunity to be able to be part of it.
Very nice. Well, if any of our audience would love to share what get you interested in space, and if you're curious how to stay involved in space, please bring it up. Okay. Here's a question from May. What do you think high school international students can do right now regarding space? How do we start, etc.? And maybe Rajri can also help, being having a background in aerospace engineering and from Indonesia. How do you still engage in your interest in space until you manage to get your degree in aerospace and work for aerospace company? Okay, maybe we can start with the Stanford students first.
Well, one thing you can do, NASA has a lot of instructional videos, guides, projects for students grades 9 to 12. It's everything from making your own star shade to learning about the autonomy of a rover to building your very own rover. A lot of fun projects from very simple to very complicated, plus events that you can attend remotely.
Yeah. Plus one to that, what Kylie said. I also think just like when I'm interested in anything, I get really lost on the internet with just watching like videos, how to like instructional things. And so I think that's a really, really great resource for that. And I think it can be really valuable to, pick out and see like what you also might be interested in, do a deep dive into that and like discover that along your way and your search with that.
Yeah, I second all what Tania and Kylie said. Also, yeah, it's more of like just go out there and try to explore as many things as you can, because there's a lot of subfields that are going on in aerospace, and there are so many different things that you can learn about. And I think it's an exciting field because the more you learn about it, the more you realize that you don't know enough. So it's just like it gets you more excited to learn more. And I think there are high school competitions regarding space stuff where you can like work on kind of related projects and apply similar techniques to the ones you'll actually like apply when you get to be an actual aerospace engineer and work in a company.
Do you want to add anything, Ratri? I think you have a good resource.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you guys from SSI. Hi, Tanya, Kauri, and Rahma, and Dafida as well. Maybe just sharing about my experience as well. So I grew up in Indonesia, but I went to high school in Australia. I went to an all-girls school. And I think I similar to you guys, this is 20 years ago, probably almost. The resources on the internet back then wasn't as available. Sorry, my daughter. The resources is probably not as readily available as now. And I think these days, as Tanya rightly said, echoing what Tanya said as well, there are so many resources online that you can take, but I think one of the things that I found, coming from sort of like an Indonesian academic background, there's a bit less emphasis on, learning about like hands-on engineering concepts. And I think those things are kind of like readily taught in perhaps. This is my son. Sorry, everybody.
He can join us.
Space is actually his favorite topic. One of the things that is like really interesting to learn. Is learning about sort of like the hands-on experiences, and actually this is the reason why myself and 3 other moms actually came up with Logika Kids here, where we try to encourage kids to learn about sort of like hands-on engineering concepts like propulsion, gravity and things like that, through like actually holding things in your hand and visualizing those concepts, rather than I guess learning just the conceptual theoretical things from school. So yeah, I think those are the things that we kind of need to encourage as well in our like young interested students that are interested in space from a young age, Davida.
I don't know where you're from, May, but you can also start getting into STEM activities and clubs, right? I mean, as you can see, these ladies at Stanford, their background in engineering is very diverse, right? They're not all aerospace engineering. Actually, none of 3 of you are aerospace engineering, isn't it? So you get into the STEM clubs to figure out where in the science or in the space that you're interested. You can be drills engineering, you can be the aerospace engineering, you can be the electrical engineering or biomedical, because they need the space industry need all the background in engineering, and maybe even more than engineering. So get in touch with, get involved with STEM's clubs. And if you're in Asia or in another part of the world, you can look up at SWE.org or SWE-Next. It's a global organization, and they have an outreach program for K-12, meaning from primary to high school. So you can get a club, you can find people that have the same interests, and you can start, keep it going and that your interest and getting more and more information and knowledge about STEM. Okay. Thank you for the questions. Is there anybody else that wants to ask?
I have something to say. I think it's really good. Thank you to have an overview of Stanford SSI projects. It's all really fascinating, especially the balloons. And But I think the most important thing as well is how can you share how you run this? This is all student volunteering, right? So how do you actually run? Because what it takes to run an organization of this scale and with so many different kind of subcategories, you know, and everybody's busy with their own classes, and then you have competitions, and then all the copious. And is anybody going to IIC from the school? Like, you know, there's so many different kind of activities. How do you find, and how do you manage to coordinate amongst yourselves? I think that's also the basis of any successful organization, right? Student run organizations is not always that easy to run. But so maybe you can share that, and how the commitment, and what kind of system can you apply for, you know, for students that can run their own space clubs?
So we are a very flexible commitment organization. No commitment, nothing necessary to walk on, nothing necessary to walk off. That being said, most of who I would consider committed members of SSI give anywhere between 3 and 7 hours a week to the club. Team leads tend to give more in the 5 to 10 hour a week range. The key to our success from organizational capacity, in my eyes, is the co-lead system. We don't have one leadership. We don't have one person in each position. We have two. I have a co-lead, me as a co-lead, or Rahma as a co-lead. Everything from our financial officers to our sub project leads come in pairs. That means, one, people have a partner to bounce ideas off of, to create with. Two, it means that when someone has a busy week, they can turn and focus on their classes while their co-lead picks up the slack, and vice versa. So we try to build a lot of redundancy into our leadership system, so that people can effectively balance their other commitments with SSI.
That's a very good strategy, actually. We know life comes, you know, with different obligations, right? So having a partner definitely will be a good idea.
Kylie, could you share more about the brick, with the Mars regolith? I think it's very fascinating. Did you blend the regolith yourself, or because there's exolith and there's a Martian garden, or is this the club source their own Mars regolith?
We buy it. We buy it from it might be I think it's Mars Garden. We buy it from.
Okay. Oh wow, that's fascinating. And so it's more of like the 3D printing of the you're working on the 3D printing technology, is it?
We're working on material science. What do we combine the regolith with to create a brick that is strong enough to form the structures we need, but uses as little off Mars material as possible.
Interesting.
Do you have any opportunities for other international students, maybe a high school, that maybe can learn from you in SSI as an intern?
We don't have internships. Yeah, we don't offer internships.
Or assistants, just for them to get to learn about space from the SSI student, from the SSI. Get them interested, get them involved, you know.
We don't have anything like
webinar.
We don't have anything like that. It's mainly these webinars, which we're always happy to do. We don't have assistant or internship programs.
They have to get into Stanford. Study hard now. They just have to get into Stanford. This is why we feature them today. What's the most? I mean, like the university research gets spun off to a real company. That's also fascinating. How many projects that have been spun off by investment from Stanford SSI?
Windborne is the only project that grows out of novel research done at SSI. There are 2 more companies inspired by or created by people who met and formed the company at SSI. There would be Red Leader Tech, and there's a chip security company. recombinant chips, radical semiconductor. And it looks like we have questions in the chat. One, how far into the rocket balloon research is SSI? Rahma, do you want to handle that?
Sure. So with Space Shot, we've been kind of testing different parts of the system because in order to make sure that your whole system is working, you need to do like sub-skill testing for different parts of your system, which is something that we've been trying to perfect over the last couple of years just to put things together in like the right way. We've been working on how and making sure that the propulsion will actually work in these conditions because it could be too cold in the atmosphere, like where the rocket launches from, for the motor to ignite. We've been doing simulations and analysis on these types of things. We've also been going on test launches to test the spin stability system. So we're just launching from a spinning platform, basically, where the rocket just like launches off. And we also test the recovery systems because you don't want your rocket to just land, not even land, just like be fall with its own weight due to gravity. You have to have a recovery system, which is basically parachutes, but you have to have them deploy at the right time, and you have to have them like be strong enough to actually handle the rocket and what it has. And finally, we also have a payload component of Space Shot, which is a muon detector. So muon is a certain type of particles that are located in this part of the atmosphere. And it's going to be pretty cool to be able to detect how many muons are in like the Kármán line area. And yeah, we've been just doing testing and research on how to we've been building some of those systems, and we test some of them. Some things don't go right. We reiterate, we kind of incorporate the test results into our new designs, and we go on in this cycle.
I think we've got a next question as well from Devendra. Has there been any sort of hardships or challenges that you girls have had to face in the development of the space projects, whether it's part of the extracurricular activities or part of your academic studies?
Well, I can answer that a little bit in the context of like the project development on the team. I think one of the things that I didn't realize until we're like actually have a launch opportunity for our satellites, on the satellites with sub-team co-leads, is all the extra work that goes in with like licensing and being like the behind the scenes work, the paperwork that goes into like launching a satellite. Like we can make a satellite. There's a lot of open source tools for us to use and some cool faculty that we have that have been helping us out with the actual development of the satellite. But we were just not launching into space by throwing it up. We have to figure out how we're going to like fund the launch, how we're going to get a launch provider, like the rocket provider, to actually launch it onto in their fairing or the capsule that holds all the satellites and things like that. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge, just to be able to find that, secure that, and then being able to deliver that on a strict timeline, because they're not working on our time, it's their timeline. And so it's been a little bit of a sprint rather than like a nice leisurely jog. But I think that's also kind of the fun of it, just like all together doing our work sessions, working towards this goal, because it's fascinating and it's being very, very real for us, to be able to like be in the position to where we can do all these things and get through all of this work together. And so I think that's been a challenge, but also something that has been really cool to work through as a team.
May had another question. What space activities did you take part in high school?
I took part in no space activities. Didn't start till I came to Stanford and joined SSI.
Same. I didn't take part in space activities, except maybe going to like the Space Center Houston, which was relatively near my house. So yeah, definitely when I got to college is when it all started to blossom and bloom.
Yeah, I didn't do anything space related in high school. I was just interested about the subject, and sometimes I would just read about things on the internet or just like watch launches for fun or something.
If you're in Jakarta, May, I believe there's a planetarium in Jakarta that you can visit.
They have better planetariums in the US. Don't
Let's not make comparison with the one in US, but at least we have something.
Tanya, can you share your internship experience at SpaceX?
Yes. So my internship experience was amazing. Everything I expected and didn't expect. I think that it was extremely hands-on from the very start, just kind of thrown into the deep end of the pool and thrown into all the exciting work that was going on there. And that's something that I really appreciated. And I know it's not the same like at other places. And so I didn't take that for granted, and I was super grateful for the opportunity. I got to do some super cool things like R&D work, holding my own meetings with like entire teams of people, which was intimidating, but really fun that they had the trust in me to do that. I think at SpaceX internships in general, they place a lot of trust in their interns. And that's something that I really appreciated. I also got to go up 185 feet in the air and help build Starship with my own two hands. And so that was a super exciting experience that I didn't expect, but was very like fun for me.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. How much longer do you have in Stanford before you graduate?
Yeah, so I'll be graduating hopefully in the spring of 2023. And then we'll see what happens from there.
Interesting. Kylie, any updates on the policy front? Space debris, Leo constellation. Are you which part of policy you working on right now?
So right now we're working on space and the UN Sustainable Development Goals and preservation of space heritage, especially on the moon. And supporting for all moon kinds work in that area.
For the Artemis Accords, or just like space resources and everything?
It is more of an international effort, but yes, in line with the Artemis Accords.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like moon, there's still a lot of I think we need more awareness in going to the moon mission for Southeast Asia. So that would also be a good section to explore. Ratri, do you have any more questions?
No, not from not a question, but it's sort of just a comment, I guess. I think it's really cool that you guys do sort of dig deep into sort of like both technical and like policy side as well. I remember when I was going through school, there was a lot of it mostly sort of like on the on purely the technical side, and only learned about sort of like the policy issues more from the SGAC, the Space Generation Advisory Council, which is small but growing in Australia. But the fact that I think you guys get to do a lot of the policy work and explore your interest in that, I think that's really cool. Hopefully you guys will sort of contribute a lot more towards that development.
Salo, you have questions? If you do, can you turn on your video so we can see you in the next?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm actually in the 9th grade, and I'm very interested in space. And SSI sounds cool. So, may I know the requirements for getting into Stanford?
Rahma just hopped off, is actually an international student, so she would know more about it from an international student's perspective. Generally it is all right. Let me drop this in the chat. Stanford has an international applicants webpage Generally, it's what you would expect. Very good grades, very good test scores, and they especially like something more, being the valedictorian, being the head of your school's robotics teams, founding a charity, starting a successful business. If you can come to them and say, hey, I started Jakarta's first high school rockets team and we managed to compete internationally, that would be very exciting to Stanford. So a combination of really excellent scores and grades with something extra that shows you can really create something special.
Actually, we do have an annual rocket competition nationally, and so you can find out about that, as well as astronomy Olympiad competition, and that's international as well. So it's compulsory for schools in Indonesia to participate in that. So those are the two avenues that you can look for, at least within our country, aside from working your, on other activities aside from that.
All right, thank you.
Any tips and closing remarks from you, Kylie and Tanya, for in the context of space exploration and where we're at now, and why? I think we also discussed that, nowadays one does not need to be an aerospace engineer or any engineering background. They can contribute in the space industry. They can contribute in space economy. It's more of like what would be your message for the current day's youth and the future generation in regards to if they want to pursue the path in this industry?
If you want to do research, pretty much any engineering degree can be applied, or really any STEM degree can be applied to space. If you do physics, you can do modeling. If you do material science, you can do work that Tania has done. If you do mechanical or electrical aerospace engineering, you can work on rockets, satellites, etc. Anything you want to do in STEM can be applied to aerospace, can be applied to space engineering. And if you're not interested in STEM, pretty much any other field can be applied to space policy, can be applied to space business. There really is a role for everyone, no matter your background, as long as you gather experiences in space and figure out how to apply your talents to the space industry.
Yeah, just going off of that, I think that one thing to remember, especially like on the satellites team, that has really shown through and it can be applicable to anywhere in the world and any field, is just if you're like majoring in something or in a more academic sense, like don't be afraid to try something different if you're interested in it. We really stress on like all of our subs teams, like you don't have to be an electrical engineering major to do avionics work. I'm interested in maybe doing avionics work on our team, and I'm material science. And so like repeating that pattern of you don't have to like just stay in one area if you're interested in others, and in any area in aerospace. And especially I like to say I'm more like STEAM than STEM. I'm a poet, and so I really like to combine that art with STEM. So even if you're not interested in STEM, you're interested in aerospace and you're more like have an artsy background and creative background, we need people like that. We need those journalists. We need like people to communicate science through art and communicate science and aerospace through other mediums, which people like might be more like attracted to. And so I'm just really passionate about that intersection between science and art and engineering. And just like anything that you're interested in, it doesn't just have to be like engineering or aerospace engineering, things like that. There's still a place for you in the aerospace industry.
And as we all know, that space is hard. Space can be hard. It can be challenging and as much as we promote collaboration instead of competition, it can be competitive. How do you keep yourself motivated, or like persevere through the hurdles, fundraising and failures after failures in terms of technology experimentations, and what what would always bring you back into the fighting mode?
I think one thing that just continues to motivate me is the power of the collective, like the power of a team. Just like working alone towards something and maybe being like all stagnant, working towards the same goal but in different streams is like, okay, fun, I guess. But I think teamwork does make the dream work. And I feel like if that's like a team, company, or just like humanity as a whole being one huge team, I think that continues to motivate me every day to be able to work in this industry and be grateful for the opportunities that I've had to continue to work in the industry.
So I think that's very, very important.
I agree with Tania. It's a really fantastic community to be a part of. And when you think the problem in front of you is too hard for you to face, there's always someone around who you can collaborate with to push through that obstacle.
Okay. I think, is there any more questions from the floor or Davida? Did you want to add on anything?
Maybe I'll ask a final sort of like more of a light question, Anne and Davida. So, you guys mentioned before, I think, that the studies and the applications of space itself is not necessarily what, maybe a lot of students in Indonesia think a very sort of, far off mark, or very technical, very much like engineering related. What sort of like some of the most interesting, I guess, like non-traditional space experiments that you've ever sort of studied, heard about, or in the plans that you know of?
There's a company down in LA. I can never remember their name because I keep mixing them up with Slingshot. That
Is it spin launch?
Spin launch, yes.
Yeah, okay.
They're working on replacing the first stage of rocket ships with basically a giant centrifuge to launch the second stage into space. I just think it's the wackiest thing. Spinning your technology and launching it straight into, and slingshotting it straight into space rather than having a first stage.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with you. That company, I heard about it this past summer, and I was like, "Wow, that is ambitious." But they'll probably get it done. Probably.
You have a question, Alex? Do you want to even ask the question?
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Davida. I'm Alexander. We are from what you call it, venture builder for startups. Actually, today I also invite my professor, a very old professor from Bandung, Prof. Widodo, which he actually, since was a kid, he wants to build a flying saucer actually. So maybe one of you here could help to realize his dream to build a flying saucer. Yeah, thank you so much. It was wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much again for inviting me, and good luck with Antarexxa. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Pat.
Yeah.
If you wanted to build a flying saucer, I'd probably recommend starting with kind of a drone, rather than trying to do something that operates beyond the Kármán line.
Yeah, I mean, he's an expert in building drones, actually, gyroscopes, even he built unmanned, he convert just a normal plane to become unmanned aerial systems, logistic drones. So yeah, so he is actually in the right way to build a flying saucer. That's what I understand. Kyle.
Okay, I think our time is up. It's been an hour, time flies, and it's been fun organizing this with the SSI team. We were prepared way ahead of time, and hopefully sometime soon we can do regular sessions on different types of projects. And we really appreciate your time this morning, Sunday morning for us, and Saturday night for you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for my co-hosts, Davida and Ratri. Really appreciate it, and for everyone else who came. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tanya, and to
Thank
Rahma.
you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Good to meet you all.
Thank you.
Bye. Cheers.
Hai Bu An.
Bapak. Oh, Pak Mirza. Yeah, Tanya. This is
Yeah, I can close with a song, Bu, if it's permitted.
Wow, that's amazing.
Kylie? Oh, Kylie's gone. Oh well, Tanya. There you go. Pak Mirza is
18 only.
very important government official in
No,
our
I'm not a government official.
in our research and in the
Yeah, but enough space talking. I will close with a song. It's better, I think. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, learn much more than I'll ever know. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. That was it. Okay, for the guys out there, I am graduated from TU Delft Aeronautics in 1994. Maybe you haven't born yet. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Stanford also, because one of my professor was from Stanford that helped develop the path following method. It's for to find a zero in it's advanced math. But I'm very impressed also with Stanford. So hopefully the space society will go very, very far with the help of Bu An. And I don't know, actually currently, how many percentage of women are there in the space industry? Maybe it's already discussed earlier, right?
No, but globally it's not enough, yeah, Tanya. Even globally it's not enough. That's why we're promoting it, and it is also a UN initiative. It's called do you remember, Tanya? It's UNUSA Space for Women Mentor. You know, they have a mentor program as well. But it is the global campaign is inclusion, diversity, equality. Inclusion is all, you know, and diversity is multicultural. That's why we're also trying to engage with emerging countries, and equality is equal access to space education. Especially here, we don't have much, right? In Indonesia, we don't have enough access. So that's been a global campaign. In Indonesia itself, I guess I think within the country and globally, it's still underrepresented. So that's why we have a lot of women initiatives.
But My son is in mechanical engineering in ITB. During my time, there's only 1% of women, but currently it's 30%. So it's going the right directions. And aeronautics is also in there, right? FTMD. So hopefully it's getting better. But you already closed the session, so sorry, Shiors.
We can do another session with you another time. Right?
Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy to
and then hopefully
reboot that because there's a lot of researchers that we can collaborate. Yeah, yesterday we had a kind of seminar, FGD, about nano satellite. Indonesia would like also to participate to build a nano satellite. And yeah, who knows? A lot of researchers in Stanford can also chip in there.
And they have to fundraise for their own, you know.
Yeah.
I think the discrepancy here is the Stanford SSI has a very good sponsorship from the US companies, and we're still struggling in terms of that. So I think we have to close this session because Tanya also has to leave. Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming and sharing with us your experience, and Bapak Mirza as well, and everyone else. Have a good Sunday, everyone. Pak Mirza will reconnect soon, yeah, and can collaborate on
Yeah,
as well.
I'm glad to do just that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.
Oh.